and FMCG indices hit record highs. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal raises concerns over the growth of e-commerce, says Amazon's 6,000 crore rupee loss in India is a result of predatory pricing and is impacting small retailers in the country. Mascon Dock snaps three-day losing streak to gain close to 8% on the back of order book optimism and capex of around 5,000 crore rupees. Jay Shah is to be appointed as the next chairman of the International Cricket Council to replace Greg Barclay after his tenure ends in November. CISF takes over the security at Kolkata's RG Kar Medical College. Top officials reach the college for a recce. Protests intensify in Maharashtra's Badlapur after the alleged sexual abuse of two kindergarten girls. Internet services in the town are suspended and schools remain shut. Ukraine launches one of the largest ever drone attacks on Moscow. Russia says at least 11 drones were shot down in the capital region. Good evening and welcome. You're watching Profit 360 on NDTV Profit and I'm Nupur Talwar Suri. Well, we begin with a look at how the markets have performed today. Nifty ended near 24,800 and was the top sectoral gainer. And my colleague, in fact, Harsh, is joining us with a quick look at all the action that took place in the markets today.
Well, it's been a good week. We've closed Wednesday also higher on the benchmark, at least around 1/3% in the green, 0.3% higher on the Nifty 50. The Sensex too up just about 1/10% or thereabouts. But the real mover in trade today was the Nifty Bank. Let's pull up the intraday chart on the Nifty Bank and you'll know what I'm speaking about. Look at that move. We've closed at the day's, nearly at the day's high. On the Nifty Bank. So that's the one key positive. And the Nifty Bank largely was weak in trade almost through the day before we saw that move. So clearly that's the one positive that I would take away from this. Around 1/4% lower on the Nifty Bank at least. So that's how it's played out. Let's pull out the contributors on the Nifty 50 if we can. And what we'll see there is ICICI Bank, SBI, HDFC Bank, the three top losers in terms of contributors on the Nifty 50. And this is after the recovery that we saw. So that's how it's really played out. And what we've seen on the positive side, of course, is the positivity was more granular, more democratic. There were more positives than negatives, and that kind of aided the markets in trade today. Let's pull up the heat map on the Nifty 50. And that's exactly what we'll see. Life insurers continued to move very, very well in trade today. But along with it, Divis Labs on the back of news. And some of the banks saw a bit of a turnaround. Axis, Kotak, both turned green right towards the end. And therefore, some of that positivity started to trickle through. But otherwise, you saw nearly 37 stocks in the green, which clearly reflects the kind of market breadth we saw. Let's pull up the market breadth itself, the advanced decline. And you'll see a gaping mouth there. There you go. 671 declines to 1433 advances. So clearly the breadth of the market very strong. And the mid-cap and small-cap indices will reflect that. Let's pull up the Nifty mid-cap. That's exactly what it will reflect, up around 0.4 odd percent. We've closed at the day's high where the Nifty mid-cap is concerned. But look at the strength in the Nifty small-cap. 1.1% higher. Again, closing at the day's high. So good resilience coming right towards the fag end of today's trading session. Let's pull up the BSE 500 to quickly take a check on some specific names. ISEC on the back of NCLT approval for swap with ICICI Bank in terms of shares, down 7.5%. Among the top losers, among the gainers, you saw Adani, Wilmar along with Alok Industries lead the pack. Nykaa up 9.5% on the back of a block. Not so sure whether that was the reason why it was up 9.5 odd percent. PNB Housing definitely up 9.6% on the back of block. So some of the names which were buzzing in trade.
And Nuvama Institutional Equities is overweight on private banks, says Pratik Parekh, who is the director and equity strategist at the brokerage firm. Now, while speaking to NDTV Profit, he said that he expects the difference between the earnings growth of private and public sectors to reduce.
Our overweight on private banks is a function of three variables. First, we think that margins are likely to bottom out while credit growth will slow, but I think margins could most likely bottom out. Second, we expect earnings growth of broader market to moderate. So the earnings differential between private banks and rest of them is going to narrow meaningfully, and that process has already begun. And third, in the entire market, this is the only space where we find valuations quite reasonable on an absolute basis.
Now, in fact, let's shift our focus to Mascon Dock. The stock closed over 5% higher after hitting an intraday high of 7.7%. This was on the back of order book optimism, and Anushi, in fact, is joining us with more details of what happened.
Mascon Dock continues to remain in focus, but today it has recouped some of the losses that it had made in the previous trading sessions, breaking its 3-day losing streak by marking an intraday high of about 7.77%. Now the stock has been down about 14% in last 1 month, while it has fallen about 26% from its 52-week high in yesterday's trade, if you take the yesterday's closing price in consideration. But overall, if you take the whole basket in consideration, especially the shipyard segment, the stock has seen about a 144% gain in 1 year. But what are the street concerns? First is the order inflow growth beyond FY27, and in particular in what the order inflows would mean for the EBITDA margins going forward. Would that taper down to the 12 to 15% going forward? Also the stock run-up valuations that we are looking at current levels versus the valuations. Now if you take the 3-year average P in consideration, that is about 23x. The current P stands about 45x, but we have to also take in context with the kind of order growth that the company has shown. But management overall, we spoke to them, they continue to remain bullish on the growth trajectory, seeing an overall size of about 2 lakh crore for the total order size. Considering the order inflows, they have capex plans of about 4,000 to 5,000 crore. They did not give a margin range, but continue to say that margins will remain in the healthier range. So this is why Mascon Dock remains in focus.
All right. Now, we in fact also spoke to Sanjeev Singhal, the chairman and MD of Mascon Docks, about his growth plans and the FY27 outlook.
In case we are not bullish post 27, we would not be planning for investing 4,000 to 5,000 crores. Then the existing yard capacity would be sufficient in case I am not reasonably bullish with respect to the future order position.
And Amazon's 6,000 crore rupee loss smells like predatory pricing, says the Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, speaking at the launch of Pehle India Foundation report. He says that a growing e-commerce market share shouldn't cause huge disruption for retailers.
When Amazon says we are going to invest $1 billion in India and we all celebrate, we forget the underlying story that $1 billion is not coming in for any great service or any great investment to support the Indian economy. They made $1 billion loss in their balance sheet that year. They have to fill in that loss. And how did that loss get caused? They paid 1,000 crores to professionals. I don't know who these professionals are. I'm myself a chartered accountant. I've done law. But I'd love to know which chartered accountants, professionals, lawyers get 1,000 crores. Unless you're paying all the top lawyers to block them, so that nobody can fight a case against you. If you make 6,000 crore loss in 1 year, does that not smell of predatory pricing to any of you? What is that loss? Come on, they are after all an e-commerce platform. They are not allowed to do B2C. The e-commerce platform legally cannot do business to consumer. They create entities where Indians contribute to making those entities sadly. Then they get caught, so they start closing down those entities. That's part 2 of the story. But they only read out all the business through an entity to show that it's business to business. But reality is all of you buy on these platforms, don't you? How do you buy? B2C is not allowed on these platforms. How are they doing it?
Now, Decathlon is planning to invest 100 million euros, or around 933 crore rupees in India. Now, the French sports retailer is also aiming to double its India revenue in the next 3 to 5 years. Prophet Sessa Sen caught up with Decathlon India CEO Shankar Chatterjee on the sidelines of their event.
We'll be having a plan to invest 100 million euro in next 5 years. This will be in 4 axes. Okay, we'll be investing in our store expansion. Today we exist in 50 cities. We'd like to reach around 90 cities and towns in India. We also want to invest in our digital assets in terms of our app and website. As of now, as I speak with you, we are already reaching 21,000 PIN code in India to make our product accessible to many Indians, but at the same time we believe that this is the age of omni-channel and we like to really able to expand further on those lines. Being said that, we also want to invest a lot in value chain, in logistics and supply, because this is the backbone. We have a plan of automation in logistics, keeping in mind a right balance between human and technology. And finally, the most important one, we like to invest on the Make in India approach, which is investment of human, investment of different kind of mold of shoes and other part. But this is the 4 exactly the channel we like to invest to really be prominent and keep growing in India to double our size in 3 to 5 years.
All right. Now, the Mumbai bench of the National Company Law Tribunal, or the NCLT, has approved the delisting of ICICI Securities from the stock exchanges. Now, under the approved scheme, shareholders would receive 67 ICICI Bank shares for every 100 ICICI security shares they hold. Now, Charu has more details on this and is joining us. Hi, Charu, take us through the nitty-gritties of this.
Hi Nupur. So as you said, the NCLT bench of Mumbai just today approved the delisting scheme of ICICI Securities, and the scheme already had gotten the approval of about 93.8% of its shareholders. However, Quantum Fund and Manu Rishi Gupta, 2 minority shareholders who had the shares of about 0.08% and 0.002% respectively, had gone up to several tribunals in New Delhi and Mumbai challenging this delisting process. Similar case is currently pending before the NCLT bench of New Delhi, and a case along the same lines is also pending before the Bombay High Court, where an investor has said that SEBI exemption given against the reverse book building process that is required for this delisting process has been done away with in case of ICICI Securities. So let's see what happens in those hearings as well.
Stay with us, in fact, Charu. Now, SEBI has also proposed significant reforms to streamlining the rights issue process. The market regulator aims to make it a more attractive fundraising option. The key changes include reducing the processing timeline, and Charu is with us for this one as well. So, Charu, tell us more, please.
So Nupur, whenever a company wants to raise funds, it has several methods of doing so. QIP is preferential allotment of shares and rights issue. While QIP remains the most prominent one, rights issue kind of does not take the cake away, because it takes a lot of time to deal with rights issue to raise funds, because a merchant banker is involved who has to work with submitting a draft letter of offer, which usually takes about 50 to 60 days. Once the offer is submitted with SEBI, it also has to do its due diligence. However, if such rights issue is to be used for a payment up to rupees 50 lakh, a merchant banker is not required. So what SEBI has done now is asked to just extend this exemption to a higher value, so that a merchant banker will not be required and a draft letter of offer will not have to be submitted to SEBI, just reducing the time used in this entire process, so that rights issue can also be encouraged to be used as a method of raising money.
All right. Thank you very much, Charu, for joining us and bringing us all those details. Well, the Amara Raja Group chairperson, Jay Galla, has expressed his optimism around operations of their Giga Corridor project. He said that a part of the 9,500 crore rupee project may start operations by 2027. Now, this comes after a meeting with Telangana's Industry Minister, Sridhar Babu, who assured full support for the project housed in the Mahababu Nagar district. The minister told NDTV's Uma Sudhir that the Congress government would balance welfare, development and industry interests and not sacrifice one at the altar of the other.
So we literally have to see, over the past 10 years or 15 years, our government or the later governments, which we signed MOUs or we had agreements and all, why didn't they materialize? One way of looking is, does this government lack that commitment earlier, or the corporates who have entered into agreement were not committed to put their investments? Those are two factors where we are trying to evaluate. From the government side, we are very keen to put the mechanism into a proper picture to see that no lapse from the state government should take place in terms of grounding MOUs. That is our job. So the other part is the business enterprises always looks business with their business investment plans. They will be facing so many issues in terms of investments, getting loans or getting the financial partners or financial closure. What they think at the right time will be done may not happen sometimes.
So you're saying you're going to analyze the mistakes perhaps or lapses that may have happened in the previous government and do them right?
No, basically our viewpoint is we have to ground 100% of the MOUs which we sign. From the government side, we are committed. We have a conviction. And we will see that a separate mechanism will be evolved in our department to see that all the agreements which we entered in Davos or we entered during the period of this 5-6 months and during our tour, our chief minister's tour to US and to South Korea. So we will put more emphasis, focus on this and try to see that from our angle every day or in a week, we will have an appraisal, we will review about it and see that they are grounded.
All right, it's time for a very short break, but on the other side, we bring you the latest updates in the Badlapur protest, so stay with us. Welcome back. Now, as the RBI marks its 90th year, the governor reveals plans and ambitions for the next decade, highlighting the path to RBI at 100. Listen in.
हम 90 years celebrate कर रहे हैं RBI का. We have come out with an agenda for RBI at 100. उसको पब्लिक डोमेन में भी हमने मतलब इट इज़ अवेलेबल इन RBI वेबसाइट. और RBI at 100 वेरियस सेक्टर्स में, फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर, पेमेंट्स सेक्टर, मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी, रेगुलेटरी स्पेस, बैंकिंग और नॉन बैंकिंग रेगुलेशन, सारे एरिया में हमारा क्या क्या नेक्स्ट 10 years going up to RBI at 100, what are the aspirational things which we should focus on and make them possible? We have come out with an agenda for RBI at 100, meaning when RBI reaches 100 years in 2034.
And now let's take a look at our personal finance series, Adulting 101. A lot of people believe that one needs a lump sum amount to begin their investment journey. But that's not the truth. Stick around as we break down how you can begin building your financial future with just a small amount and the right strategies.
Think you need a lot of money to start investing? Well, think again. Today, we are busting the myth that investing is only for the wealthy. The reality is that you can start with as little as 100 rupees. Several platforms and apps allow you to start investing with very little money. For example, you can begin with as low as 100 rupees in mutual funds through apps like Grow, Zerodha, Paytm Money, ET Money, and Kuvera. These platforms have no minimum balance requirements and let you invest small amounts regularly. But are you seeking a safer option? Consider investing in a recurring deposit. Most banks allow you to start a recurring deposit with as little as 100 rupees per month. It is a disciplined way to save and earn interest over time. So now do you want to diversify your small investments? Exchange-traded funds or ETFs are another great option. With as little as 500 rupees, you can invest in an ETF that tracks an entire index like the Nifty 50, giving you exposure to multiple companies at once. You can also automate your investments with systematic investment plans or the SIPs by investing 500 rupees or 1000 rupees every month. By investing 1000 rupees every month for 5 years, you can get up to 80,000 rupees. So do you really need a lot of money to start investing? Not at all. With the right tools, strategies and mindset, you can start with just 100 rupees and build your wealth over time. The best time is to start today.
All right, here's an update that's coming in from the world of sport. BCCI Secretary Jay Shah is all set to take over as the ICC chairman. Now, he will be replacing the incumbent chairman, Greg Barclay. NDTV's Rika Roy, who tracks the space, joins us with what she's picking up.
The news that came in this morning is that Australia and England, two of the key members of ICC, have supported Jay Shah to become the next chairman of International Cricket Council. He will take over from Greg Barclay when Mr. Barclay's tenure ends in November. Of course, he had a few more years on him, but he has Mr. Barclay, after the ICC World Cup on 27th of July, had said that he is keen on stepping aside. Jay Shah has been in the, his name has been discussed for a while. He's been in the reckoning for a while. Secretary of Board of Control for Cricket in India. Now he is going to take over as the chairman of ICC. Of course, it is a very simple math. There are 16 voters, and of the 16, one has to secure 51% votes. That means 9 votes. He firmly has 9 votes on him right now to make him the chairman of ICC.
All right. Thank you for that, Rika. In fact, moving on to an update that we are getting right now. In the Kolkata rape case, the Central Industrial Security Force, or the CISF, will be taking over the security at the RG Kar Medical Hospital and college. Now, top officers of the paramilitary force visited the college this morning for a recce. This comes after it witnessed vandalism on the 15th of August. Now, CISF's presence in the hospital comes after the Supreme Court questioned the state police authorities as it failed to protect the hospital from the mob that stormed the site and damaged medical equipment and supplies of 2 floors. During its hearing, the top court also noted that several doctors have left the campus after the 15th of August vandalism, and hence it is necessary to create a safe environment for doctors and the support staff. Now, staying with national news, internet services in Maharashtra's Badlapur were suspended and schools and colleges remain closed in the wake of massive protests over the alleged sexual abuse of 2 kindergarten girls. Now, authorities have arrested 40 individuals in connection with the incidents of stone pelting and other crimes. The protests, which took place at the railway station and other parts of Badlapur, left at least 17 city police personnel and around 8 railway officers injured. In response to the situation, the MVA has announced a Maharashtra Bandh on the 24th of August. And in fact, let's listen hear from Anuj now, who's on the ground. Anuj, take us through the latest developments that you are picking up.
The physical form of protests have eased down a little in Badlapur here as compared to yesterday. Today, the city seems more calm, but the terrain has become a little tricky in another spectrum, and that is the political one. We are looking at Eknath Shinde making comments like this entire protest was politically motivated, and that invited a lot of criticism from the opposition parties, including an announcement for Maharashtra Bandh on the 24th of August. As far as this particular case is concerned, yesterday, of course, we saw that a lot of protesters came down on the ground and stopped the railway here in Badlapur, and as a result of that, the police made a lot of arrests, close to 28 arrests, and action was initiated against as many as 300 people. Now, the prime accused in this case, that is Akshay Shinde, was presented in court today in Kalyan, and his police custody has been extended till the 25th of August. But one day before that, there is going to be a statewide bandh by Mahavikas Aghadi. How effective will this bandh be will be an answer that only time will be able to give, but it seems to be an extremely politically tactical move played here by the opposition party to check, or rather to test the waters just a few months before the elections here in the state of Maharashtra.
Well, at least 7 lives were lost to flash floods in Tripura following relentless rainfall over the past 48 hours. Thousands of residents have been caught in the rising waters, and with more rain predicted in the coming days. A massive rescue and relief operation is underway with over 200 teams from the SDRF, the NDRF, the Civil Defence, Fire and Emergency Services battling against the clock to save lives. The state government has established 183 relief camps providing refuge to more than 5,600 affected families. The situation is being closely monitored as the threat of further rainfall looms over the region. And tensions escalated as Ukraine launched a major drone attack on Moscow early today. Russian air defenses interacted with at least 11 drones in what officials describe as the largest strikes on the capital since the conflict began in February of 2022. The Russian Defense Ministry reports that a total of 45 drones were destroyed across Russian territory, including those targeting Moscow. This escalation comes as Russian forces continue to advance in eastern Ukraine, where they now control about 18% of the area. Russia is also battling to fend off Ukraine's incursions into the Kursk region. This is being described as the largest foreign attack on Russian soil since the Second World War. And before we wrap up the show, the soon-to-be CEO of Starbucks, Brian Nicol, might not be able to make a pit stop for a quick cup of coffee on his way to work. Well, that's because he'll have to use a corporate jet to travel to his office, which is over 1,500 kilometers away in Seattle. Nicol will have to commute from his home in California to the company headquarters at least 3 days a week, in accordance to the company's hybrid work policy. Well, that's all we have time for right now on Profit 360, but thank you for joining us and stay tuned to NDTV Profit for more.